Okay, hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. So for today's session, we are going to be talking about our pre-market live analysis. So feel free to pop into the chat any requests that you might have. I'm going to give about 1 more minute to let more people join our session before we get started. In the meantime, let me know if you guys can see me and hear me. And yeah, I'll see you guys. I'll get started in about 1 more minute. Thanks everyone. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So as per usual, a disclaimer and risk warning. Trading forex and CFDs carries a high level of risk to your capital, and you should only trade with money you can afford to lose. Trading forex and CFDs may not be suitable for all investors, so please ensure that you fully understand the risk involved and seek independent advice if necessary. Okay, here's our agenda for today. We'll start off by looking at some FX majors first, and then we'll look at commodities, crypto and indices, and any custom requests. So I'm Melanie and I'll be your speaker for today. I'm an investment analyst at Rocket, who are finalist for Best FX and Equity Research in the years 2019 to 2021. We specialize in technical analysis with a focus on Fibonacci retracements, extensions, and projections. Okay, now let me just pull up my charts and then we can go ahead and get started. Okay, let's start off by looking at the events for the upcoming week. So you can use any economic calendar for this. I'm just going to be using Forex Factory for this. Okay, Let me just make sure you can see my screen. Okay, so this is what Forex Factory looks like. You can click on today's date, and then it'll give you, you can look at the events for that period. So since we're looking at this upcoming week, I'm gonna look at 16th to 20th, apply settings, and you can see that I have it filtered to only look at the orange and red icons. So this is the medium to high impact events. But you can also click on the screen filter and look at any low impact events or any non-economic events as well. So that would probably include the bank holidays as well. You can also filter out any event types that you might be looking at or any currencies. Apply filter, and you can see there are a lot more events for this week to get through. So I think yeah, when you streamline it to just look at the medium to high impact events, it's a lot easier to get through, and you're focusing mainly on the events that have the greatest impact on your charts. Okay, so for today we have the Empire State Manufacturing Index. This is for US. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, we have the German ZEW economic statement. In Canada, we have the CPI data. So that would be inflationary data, which would be very high impact. US, we have retail sales data, and then on Wednesday, we have UK CPI, US building permits, Thursday, US data, crude oil inventories, federal funds rate, FOMC statements as well. We also have New Zealand's GDP and Australia's employment data. UK, we also have monetary policy summary, official bank rate as well. And in the US, we have unemployment claims and the Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. And lastly, on Friday, we'll have US existing home sales, China's 1-year and 5-year loan prime rate. Japan, we have the policy rate, monetary policy statement, and UK's retail sales, as well as Canada's retail sales. Let's go ahead and get started. So let me just pull up my charts. Okay, let's go ahead and start off by looking at DXY. Okay, so I like to start off by looking at the higher time frames. So, and then work our way down to the shorter time frames. So I'm going to be looking at our weekly time frame first. You can see prices kind of fluctuating recently, but prices generally moving in a downtrend. In our daily time frame, okay, you can definitely see that downtrend a lot clearer now. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by looking at the trend. So you can see we have prices moving in this descending trend line. Okay, so I'm gonna place my first resistance here. Okay, and I'll place my pivot just at this swing low. Okay, and my first support, I'm just gonna place right over here. Okay, now I'm going in with some Fibonacci levels. So I'm going in first with a projection. Okay, so you can see my 100% lines up nicely with my first support. So I'm just going to keep that. So even though we saw earlier the 78 and 61 also line up with the first resistance and the pivot, but price has already broken out of those levels, so it's no longer valid. Okay, so now I'm going in with a retracement. Did my camera just freeze? Okay, I'm not entirely sure why my camera is frozen, so I'm just gonna continue without for the time being. Um, you guys can still hear me, right? Let me just check the audio. Okay, everything's okay. So, yes, so I was going in with a retracement. So you can see my 23.6 lines up nicely with my first resistance. So I'm just gonna keep that. Mm, hey, okay, no, that might be all the levels that we have. Mm, I think so. Okay, I might have a retracement here. Here you can see my 61.8 lines up nicely with my first support. Okay, so I am expecting prices to continue in this downtrend over here. Um, okay, and this first support is also a um it's also a confluence area since we have two Fibonacci levels lining up, and we also have a overlap level, which basically means there are swing highs over here and swing lows over here that line up nicely. Okay, so let's go in with some indicators now. So I like to start off with Ichimoku and MACD because at one glance you can see exactly what the signals are. So for Ichimoku, price is moving below the cloud, so it's giving us a bearish signal. MACD, you can see it's giving us a bullish signal. So that doesn't support our analysis. Okay, Bollinger Bands is not telling us very much right now. Let's go ahead and look at RSI. Okay, we can see our RSI moving in this descending trend line. Okay, so it's giving us a bearish signal, especially you can see prices recently bounced off of this resistance line or trend line. Okay, so we are expecting prices to continue downwards, break below our pivot and head towards our first support. Okay, so that's DXY. Next, let's take a look at euro dollar. Actually, let's go ahead and look at gold first. So gold and DXY are often inversely related. Excuse me. So you can see our DXY is moving in a downtrend, so we would be expecting to see our gold in an uptrend. Okay, but let's take a look. Okay, so again, I'm going to start off by analyzing it on a higher time frame. So on a weekly time frame, you can see prices moving upwards. So if I zoom in down to our daily time frame, you can see that same uptrend happening. So let's see if we have any trend lines. Okay, so we have an ascending trend line here. Here you can see prices definitely moving in this uptrend. So I'm gonna go in with some Fibonacci levels first, because in this case we don't have any higher levels of reference. So I'm trying to find levels that we can place our first resistance at. And we do this by using the Fibonacci levels. Okay, for start, we have a projection, the 100% projection that lines up. I guess this would be my pivot right at this tip. Oops. Okay, let me just check my camera to see if I can still use it. Okay, I think it's working now. Um, so this is my pivot. Let's see if we have any extension levels. Okay, so our 161.8 lines up with, you can see our 161.8 lines up nicely with our pivot as well. You can see this shape is what we're looking for, this nagitic kind of shape. Okay, if we zoom in even more, we might be able to find another nagitic, I think. Okay, we also have this 161.8 here. Okay, I'm going in with a projection as well. Okay. And then I'm just going to place my first support just over here at this overlap level. I'm going to be removing this 100% because price has already broken out of it quite a bit. Mm, okay, that's better. Um, okay, I can place my my resistance at this minus 61.8. I'm gonna move my first support. Actually no, I'll just leave it here. Okay, I think that's all the levels that we have for this chart. Oh wait, we might have a retracement here. Mm, okay, the minus 38.2 lines up with our first support as well. So you can see at our pivot, we have this quite huge confluence area here. So we might be seeing prices kind of testing that level a little bit, but the upward momentum is definitely still there. So we are expecting prices to continue pushing upwards. Okay, let's go in with our indicators, starting with MACD and Ichimoku once again. So you can see prices are moving above the cloud, so they are giving us a bullish signal. MACD is giving us, you can see a little bit of that bullish signal happening as well. Okay, so they both support our analysis. Let's go ahead and look at RSI. Yep, you can see RSI is also moving in this ascending trend line. Okay, so they all support our analysis. Maybe let's go in with Bollinger Bands as well, see if it gives us any supports our analysis. You can see prices currently pushing above the upper band of our Bollinger Band, so it is also giving us that bullish signal. Okay, so yeah, that's for gold. Okay, next we're gonna be looking at euro dollar, and then we have a request for Aussie dollar, and if we have time, we will look at the pound dollar as well. Okay, let me just check to make sure that my charts were saved. Um, It seems to be deleting um my indicators. Oh, okay. Maybe not. Okay, now let's start on our euro dollar. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, we can see prices moving upwards, right? And on our daily time frame, you can see prices also generally on an uptrend here. We have we have prices kind of moving in this ascending trend line. Okay, so going in with my horizontal levels. Okay, I'm going to place my pivot here and my first resistance up here. My first support just at this swing high here. Okay, going in with our Fibonacci levels. You can see our 50% lining up. Let's see, I think we might have a projection here. Okay. Okay, my 61.8 lines up nicely with our first resistance. Okay, I think that might be all the levels that we have. Okay, my 100% also lines up with our first resistance. Okay, so I am expecting prices to continue pushing upwards towards our first resistance. You can also see we have this confluence area here. Okay, going in with some indicators. Again, I'm going to use Ichimoku and MACD first. So prices are moving above the cloud. MACD, you can see it's giving us a bearish signal. So I'm going to remove that because it doesn't support our analysis. Let's look at RSI. Okay, you can see prices moving in this ascending trend line as well. And we also have prices recently bouncing off that trend line. So that's kind of an indicator that we might continue to see prices move upwards. Okay. Yeah, that's for euro dollar. Hi, good morning. Yeah, we can take a look at AUD. Okay. So on our weekly time frame, you can see the general trend being kind of bearish over here on our weekly time frame. On our daily time frame, prices are kind of fluctuating a bit. Um, okay, we have again prices moving in this ascending trend line. Where price is currently at, I'm just gonna place a pivot at this level because we have a couple of swing highs here. So I'm thinking prices are going to continue to um react off of this level. Okay, this is my first resistance. Okay, so my 38.2 lines up nicely with my first support. Can see my 78.6 lines up nicely with my first resistance. I think that's all the levels we have. Let's see if we have a extension here. Okay, my 161 lines up with my first resistance as well. Okay, so now again, I'm going in with my indicators to support my analysis. So prices are moving above the cloud, so it is giving us a bullish signal. MACD, you can see, is giving us a bearish signal. So I'll remove that. Let's take a look at RSI. RSI isn't really telling us much here. Maybe let's look at stochastic. Stochastic isn't telling us much as well. Let's maybe take a look at some Bollinger Bands. Okay, Bollinger Bands aren't telling us much as well here. So I think we'll just have to, okay, let me look at our moving averages. Okay, we can see prices moving above the moving averages slightly. So that is giving us a bit of a bullish signal. So I'm just going to keep that. But with all of the other indicators kind of giving us mixed signals, I will wait for prices to bounce off of our pivot before going in for that buy towards our first resistance. Okay, this is also a confluence area here. So before going in for that buy, I'll wait for prices to bounce off our pivot because we might see, you can kind of see prices breaking out of that pivot. So if it moves downwards, we might see it bounce off and head towards our first resistance, but I'll kind of wait for that movement to happen before going in for a buy, just in case prices actually continue moving downwards towards our first support. Okay, so that's for our Aussie dollar. Okay, now let's look at our pound dollar. Okay, are there any questions so far? Okay, let's go ahead and look at our pound dollar. So on our weekly time frame, you can see prices moving in this uptrend as well. On our daily time frame, yeah, it's also moving in this uptrend. I don't think we have any trend lines or trend channels. So let's just go ahead and add our support levels, support and resistance levels. So this is going to be my first resistance, or rather my pivot. Okay, my first resistance, I'm just gonna place it up here. And my first support just down here. Okay, My 88.0 lines up with my, actually, okay, my 88 lines up with my first resistance, so I'm just going to use that. Okay, my 100% lines up with my pivot. Let's see if we have any other levels. We might have a retracement over here. Okay, my 23.6 lines up with my first support. The 161.8 also lines up with my first resistance. Let's see if we have a projection here. Okay, the 61.8 lines up with my first resistance. So this whole area is a huge confluence area. Okay, let's go in with our indicators now. So prices are moving above the cloud, so they are giving us a bullish signal. MACD is giving us a slightly bearish signal, so I'm not going to use it. Let's look at RSI. Okay, we have prices moving in this ascending trend line on our RSI. Okay, so it is giving us a bullish signal as well. Okay, so I am expecting prices to continue upwards towards our first resistance. Okay, so that's for pound dollar. Next, for last chart, I'll just be going through WTI. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. So on our weekly time frame, prices are generally moving downwards. On our daily time frame, you can also see prices moving in a downtrend. Okay, so where price is currently at, I'm gonna place my this is gonna be my pivot. Okay, this level here is gonna be my first support, and for my first resistance, I'll place it at this swing high here. Okay, so my 23.6 lines up with my pivot, my 61.8 lines up with my first resistance. Okay, even though the 100 lines up with our pivot, price has already broken out of it, so I'm not going to use that anymore. Let's see if our projection here. Okay, my 78.6 lines up with my first support. I think that might be all the levels we have. Oh, let's see if we have any extensions. So again, extensions are that Nike tick shape that we always look for. So you can see that 161 lines up with our first support, and that Nike tick shape is over here. It's just an inverted Nike tick shape here. Okay, I think that's all the levels we have. So now let's go in with our indicators again. Price moving below our cloud, so it is giving us a bearish signal. MACD is also giving us a bearish signal, so that also supports our analysis. Okay, I can pull back my first support even further. Let's see, RSI. Okay, RSI is kind of moving in this downtrend as well, descending trend line. Okay, let's maybe also take a look at Bollinger Bands. So you can see prices moving below the Bollinger Band, which is a bearish signal as well. Okay. But I'm gonna remove it because otherwise you guys can't see my um my analysis, like the Fibonacci's. So I'm just gonna hide it. But it does also support our analysis. Okay. I think I've gone through all of the requests. Um, Let me just check. Yeah, I think I've gone through all the requests. So again, thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys found this session helpful. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys again next week. Thanks everyone. Bye. Okay, thanks everybody. See you guys.